Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. My name is Sean,
And I'm Missy.
and we're doing something a little bit new here. This is a new kind of feature. We want to talk about some stuff that's on Shudder because there's a lot of stuff on Shudder. And while it is a service that kind of curates for, the horror fans' taste, I feel like with the volume of stuff, it's no longer really a curation, which is fine. That's great. I love having all of the options. So let us curate some stuff for you. We'll tell you what something we watched, why we liked it. We're not going to trash stuff. So if we didn't like something, we're not going to talk about it, but tell you why we liked it. And then, you can assess based on that if you want to watch it. So we're going to begin this first edition of On Shutter with this is Josh Forbes' feature film debut, and it is called Destroy All Neighbors. Written by Charles A. Pieper, Jared Logan, and Mike Benner. Directed by Josh Forbes, with a lot of the effects by one of my favorites, Gabe Bartalos, who I'm a big fan of Skin Deep, and that was his like directorial masterpiece, grindhouse masterpiece. But Destroy All Neighbors is kind of a throwback to you. It's always now mentioned in the same breath as Freaked, which was a movie that Alex Winters had a hand in getting made back in the 90s. And I think, Missy, you have not seen Freaked, correct?
I have not. I've heard you mention it before. I think maybe you saw it at Beyond Fest. I've never been able to find it.
Yeah, they did a screening in early 2020, and I had never even heard of it before. So I was totally late to the game on that movie. But if you know Freaked, it has a following. Like it has a rabid fucking following. It is fantastic. And Alex Winter, obviously known primarily for Bill and Ted's, but really he's done a lot of producing and writing and some directing. And just, I think maybe Freaked is probably the most famous he's got outside of Bill and Ted.
No, The Lost Boys.
That's true. I always forget he's in that, but I think that's because I didn't see that movie till later in life.
Yeah, most people are going to know him from The Lost Boys and Bill and Ted.
Yeah, definitely. He's a staple in the underground of the horror and genre scene, and I feel like he does really good work. And so he had a lot to do with he's in this movie, although you can watch this movie and not know that
Right.
because he is under some fucking heavy prosthetic makeup, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
So, what did you think of Destroy All Neighbors, Missy? Is this a recommend for you?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really solid horror comedy. And just when you think it can't get any weirder, it does.
It does.
I think it's definitely a crowd pleaser. It's a good one to watch with your friends. I'm very particular about movies that I want to watch in a group. This is a good movie for you're in a group with your friends, everybody's having a few drinks or whatever, and you just want to watch something goofy and laugh, and this is perfect for that. I'm a gore hound. It's a gore fest. It's super just wonderful practical effects. It's splattery and messy and gooey, and I loved
Yeah,
it. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. It's, I won't go into specifics, but we were talking before we rolled, and there's one thing in here I feel like is it's kind of subdued, but I think it's one of the funniest fucking things I've seen in like 10 years. It really just hit me the right way.
I agree.
The whole thing. And so it stars Jonah Ray Rodriguez, who is, I guess most people would know him from Mystery Science 3000. I know what that is, but I've never watched it.
Okay.
So I don't know him from that. He plays such a like everybody knows this guy. They might not be
Yes.
a Prague fanatic because his character is like, I feel like I've seen this exact movie before, but the thing that a couple of the things, not exact, but like the beats are so very much like, okay, like we've definitely seen this, the way that it progresses. But his character being a Prague fan and the way they work in this movie is
Yeah.
fucking hysterical. Because I feel like it's written from a place where people who like or understand prog music, but are also very self-aware of the kind of ridiculousness of a lot of prog music. No disrespect meant. It's music that is, it's like what he keeps saying, it's an audio labyrinth.
It's an audio labyrinth.
And the fact that he says like on multiple occasions, he's like, "Well, I kind of like that. It's hard to get into, or it's because I've said that about things
Yeah, that it's
myself."
confusing. It's like life. It's hard to get into and it's confusing, but it takes you places you've never gone or something like that. I mean, yeah, his character is fantastic. He's just an every guy kind of character, down on his luck, and it's cool to see. I mean, I'm not big on Prague either, but we're certainly obsessive about horror and other things. So it's
Yes,
when you see characters that are passionate about something like that.
yes, absolutely.
And I feel like they handle it well. I agree with you that um, what you were mentioning about being the funniest thing, it tickled me too. It, I don't want to say it and ruin it for anyone because it was, there's a lot of little things in here that
Yeah,
will kind of jump out like that, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool, especially thinking that this was somebody's first film.
yeah,
um and Alex Winter gives a fantastic performance in the strangest role you're ever going to see him in.
it's pretty strange.
It's
Willie,
very strange.
bro, I fucking love Vlad, his character Vlad,
Yeah.
and here's a setup. Will is a Prague obsessive, lives in an apartment in LA with his girlfriend, and there's maybe you get the feeling that the relationship is maybe a little bit rocky, not on the rocks, but he's kind of obsessed and non-attentive to her. And they get a new neighbor that moves in, and he's just like the neighbor from hell. And it just goes from Will wanting to avoid confrontation to the ultimate confrontation, and like a lot of people die, but it's all comedic but gory as fuck, right? And
Hmm.
they go, he does things where I'm like, how did that switch get flipped? Like you didn't want a confrontation, and then now you're like cutting up bodies with a fucking what's a reciprocating saw.
Right. Well, it happened. What's he going to do with the?
I thought you
He
were
just
about to
kind of
say
went
it
from there.
happens, and I was like, oh,
Well, no, but I mean, he didn't want a confrontation, but now he has a dead neighbor. So what's he going to do?
yeah, and it just steamrolls, and they work in a lot of clever. Like he watches these videos that this bass player from this 70s or 80s prog band puts on. They just get increasingly ridiculous
Hmm.
and like really interesting cast. He works at a recording studio. This blew me away. Okay, there's a character, Caleb Bang Jansen, who's this
Hmm.
like folky, shitty recording artist that's recording there. He's a total douche. And it's fucking Ryan Kettner from Man Man. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was so blown the fuck away. I'm like, I couldn't even believe it. But his character's fantastic, where it's just constantly like, you got to say my whole name, Caleb Bang Jansen. Like anytime anyone's like, Caleb Bang Jansen.
Yeah, it's a good time. The practical effects are great. Like,
They're so good. They're so
I mean,
good.
and it just be willing to take the ride. I don't know what I expected when I went into this. I expected something just fun and ridiculous, but about halfway through the movie, I thought I knew where it going, and I definitely did not know where it was going. And it just kept getting goofier and goofier, but I was having a good time. I was along for the ride. It's a perfect movie for 3 a.m. I'd love to see. It would be great for Joe Bob to show on like the last drive-in. It would be perfect for that. I'd love that.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
I'd love that. This is exactly the kind of movie that I want to see in that kind of setting. So, I mean, for me, it's a thumbs up. I like it a lot.
Same. For me, it's a thumbs up as well.
It's not going to be for everyone. It's definitely weird. So be in the mood for something weird and goofy and just go for the ride.
Yeah, I agree. And like some of the effects, like it is a gore fest, but also there's a puppetry element or a stop motion element to some of it. And so if you don't like that stuff, like there's definitely Evil Deadisms. There's
Yep.
Freak again is like a huge thing. Creep Show maybe like some of the landlady when she,
thing.
yeah. Although not nearly as like it's the thing, but with all of the kind of severity removed. So the gore doesn't generally have a severe nature. So it's all just kind of goofy. And so that can take people out of it. So if you're not a fan of that, I feel like you're going to know fairly quickly whether you're going to like this movie. The tone carries through.
I think you're going to know within like 15, 20 minutes if you're in or not.
Yeah. I felt like when I started this movie, by halfway through, I had texted somebody, I don't know if it was you or Ray or somebody, I was like, this feels to me for now what Vicious Fun felt like in 2020 or 2019. Like it was just
it was me. I mean, it might have been Ray too, but we had that conversation.
So while it's a different kind of movie, I felt like it was a similar kind of humor.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, if you like stuff like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
There you go.
It felt a lot like that to me, in that all of this crazy shit is happening around him. He's not necessarily a bad guy. He's not really doing
it. Well, I feel like that's a discussion.
He crosses a line at one point, but it starts happening.
There's a discussion in here that I don't want to have because it's spoiler territory, and it's hard to spoil this movie, but we'll save that for off camera because there's definitely a discussion here that I want to pick your brain about. But yeah, I think that's you. That's it. Destroy All Neighbors. There's a great article in the newest issue of Fangoria, written by Sean Abley, that he talks to Alex Winters a lot, and they talk about kind of the behind the scenes, and he talks to Gabe Bartalos. Really cool. There's a quote from Josh Forbes right here. The movie's a jumble of everything I love. Sam Raimi, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, the Coen brothers, Brian De Palma, Frank Henenlotter. I feel like that pretty much says it all.
Okay. I definitely see a lot of Henenlotter in it.
Yeah, totally. That was one we missed in our comparison, but that's right on the fucking money.
Right on the money. But yeah, I mean, people are always asking, and I know they ask you too, but like people at work, people online, what movies they should watch. I always see in horror groups online, I have such and such streaming service, what's good. And if you have Shudder, you like horror comedies, you want to watch something fun, check this out. It's a good splatter fest. The practical effects are like, they're great. I had a real good time.
Same here. So that's our first on Shudder. So we'll be back with more recommendations. But until then, I'm Sean.
And I'm Missy.
And this is the Horror Vision.
A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20, soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abramelin Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive?
The world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure? Murder. From the twisted mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadowplay Book 1. murder virus.